Hello and welcome to Code Creative. I'm Travis Tolson. All right, we're kicking off part 3 here of the salary survey analysis tool. For those catching up, I am not building this one out on ServiceNow for data protection purposes. So I'm actually building just a plain old static site, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, on a file system that I am hosting here locally. So at this point, I've gotten a fair amount set up. I'm using a Redux style of store, and really it's a poor man's Redux. I'm not actually using the Redux store itself. I kind of wrote my own quick version of it. And you can see some of that output down here. Not much to look at right now, of course, but basically the end goal is to have a list of the different attributes from the salary survey that I can click through, view the variances if I were to split the data on those attributes, and then be able to display histograms for the different attributes so that I can see how the salary survey responses break down by the different attribute groupings. At this point, I am up to actually calculating the histogram data. So if we look at the application state right now, you'll see that I've got a filter, which if we step back to earlier, you'll see that I can add filters and remove filters by issuing the appropriate action. I've got a histogram configuration, which allows me to select different properties to display the histogram for. At least I think that, no, that was the histogram selected property. What was the histogram config? I don't remember that one now. Oh, that was just me dumping a random variable because I assumed I would need additional configuration for it, but I wasn't sure what it was going to be yet. So for now, it's just test. And then we've got the responses, which currently is my in the data folder here, and this is just my dummy data. I'll be replacing that with the salary data later. So right now we are at the point of building out our histogram selector so that we can actually produce our histogram. Now I think what I'm going to go with is chart.js. It is MIT licensed, so it's fairly simple. I mean, it's not got all the bells and whistles and luster of high charts, but it also doesn't have all the different licensing and such. It's just MIT, nice and simple. No questions, no concerns. Now, right now, what I want to do is I want to actually populate our histogram data. Kevin, welcome, Kevin. Had to go to the default video resolution. 1080p is much easier to read on cell. Interesting. Yeah, I guess I am running 1440 now, so I actually hadn't considered how that might impact folks viewing. I'll have to keep that in mind. May have to like downsample the stream or something. I'm not sure. I'll have to play around with that one. Right now, though, we're going to look at building out this histogram data, which if I'm looking at chart.js, this is kind of what I'm going for, is just a simple vertical chart. That'll allow me to display the histogram. I will have to have specific hard set bins. And the data, I believe, is just an array. What it doesn't say is the label. Here, let's come up here real quick and let's inspect. And let's find your script. Usually they go off the ID. There we go. All right, so the options it's passing. Data, okay, so data takes a labels object, and you can see January, February right here. So there's the bins, which is just an array. And then you've got the data sets. Which, okay, so data, my first data set, okay, so the data set's just an array of objects where each object contains a data element with the array of values. Okay, so here's what we need to do. First thing I'm going to do is pull up my data responses, which really has kind of turned into my configuration almost. But I'm going to throw an additional variable down here, and we'll call this one bins. And for now, we're going to keep this one simple. Let's see, 25, 30, 46, 45. Let's see, our min looks like 25, and our max is up around 52. So let's do this. Our bins array is going to be low, high, a series of objects for low, high. We will start at, we'll start at 20, 25, and Kevin says the video was defaulted to 360 or 480 by default. Ah, gotcha. All right, so I'm going to build out these bins real quick, and we'll just slap a few of them down, and we'll go 25 to 30, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. That should be enough. And then we need 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. I know this is so exciting to watch. 55. Travis can count by fives. This is fantastic. Best part's going to be when I realized I screwed it up somewhere. All right, I think that works. And then we'll export the bins. All right, so the bins are just for the histogram. Each bin is going to be a column, and I have to give it, because histograms have continuous values, the low and the highs overlap on the bins. So basically what I'm saying is that this first column is going to be a count of, in this case, the number of records whose hours played is between 20 and 25. I'll do a greater than or equal to 20 and a less than 25. That way we've got a nice continuous set of ranges on the bins. Kevin says he's falling asleep. Sorry, I know counting isn't that exciting. Oops, and I didn't want to export that. I wanted to export bins. Okay, so now I'm going to jump back over to my selectors. Now to get my histograms, what I said in the last one was that my output, my desired output object for the histograms is a parent array of bins and a set of children bins. So if I pull up my diagram here, basically what I want the ability to do in this analysis app is the ability to, if this was a decision tree representing the response data, and I filtered my all responses by just where Outlook is rainy, and then I wanted to see how that would split, how the variance of that split would work. Then what I have is a histogram of rainy, and then a histogram of hot, mild, and cool, which are the options for the temperature. So if I filtered down and I selected to show a histogram of temperature, then that's what I would see. I want to see 3 histograms, one for this one and one for each of the splits. And that's going to help us to visualize how the temperature property impacts that data set when it's been filtered to rainy. And that way we can step through that hierarchy. So what I have to do is for each of these histogram value sets that I want, for each chart essentially, I have to iterate through the responses, and for each response I need to go through each bin and add the response to the correct bin. So this should be fun. So let's see. The first thing I need to do is for the parent. So for the parent, we're going to have to, oof, this is going to get dicey. All right, I'm going to need an additional function here. And it's going to have to get histogram for filter, we'll say. Okay. So on this one, we're going to pass our data set. Well, we'll call it responses to keep everything consistent. And we need the filter now. Maybe that won't work. Let's do this. We'll handle the filtering at a different level. Right now, I'm just going to create the sub function that actually handles, once I've filtered a data set down, it's going to handle populating those responses and getting the array, and that's all it's going to handle. That will remove the complexity of dealing with this whole object, and all I'm going to focus on right now is calculating this one array given some known set of responses. So for this, what I have to do is do a responses.forEach. So for each response, next I need to do an import, and we are pulling this one from, actually I don't have to add a new one because I can grab it from here, and I'm grabbing bins. And let's see. So for each response, I need to iterate the bins. Okay, let's see. And we're going to have, let's see, there's got to be an easier way to do this, but we're going to do it this way first and then maybe rethink. Actually, no, let's flip this. Let's flip this. We're going to do bins.reduce. So what reduce is going to do is, or no, sorry, map. I want bins.map. So what this is going to do is it's going to iterate through for each bin, and it's going to accept the individual bin, and it will return the resulting value. So basically what this is going to do, let's say I had 10, 20, 30, 40 as an array, just saying. and I wanted to map over it, and I wanted to say where in my function I wanted to say return bin plus 10. Then what it's going to do is it'll iterate through each of these and replace it'll create a new array replacing each element with the result of this function. So in other words, it would do 10 plus 10 is 20, 20 plus 10 is 30, 30 plus 10 is 40, and 40 plus 10 is 50, and this would be the resulting array. So, and that's closer to the actual result that I want, because what I want is the count for each bin. So I actually want to iterate the bins first. Then what I want to do is for each bin, I want to count. So that's going to be a reduce. So I'm going to take the responses.reduce, and reduce takes an accumulated value, or we'll call it sum, and the response, or the individual item in the array. And so what this is going to do is, this is going to be my counting function. So if response, and I need my target property, which I am importing up here. So my target property in this case is hours played. It's part of my configuration. That'll become salary later on, or whatever I have the salary property set to, whatever that name is. So if the target property of the response is greater than the bin, which is this bin, the bin we're iterating through, dot low, and response target property is less than bin dot high, and that actually needs to be less than or equal to, then we're going to return sum plus 1. Else return sum. So this is going to give us a basic counter function. So basically what this is going to do is it is going to move through each bin, and then it'll iterate through. So first it'll hit bin 1. Then it's going to go through each response and count every record where the hours played, our target property, is greater than or equal to low, but less than the high. And since all of our bins are mutually exclusive, each one will only be counted in the appropriate bin. Performance-wise, this is not as efficient as it could be, since I know once, take this first one as an example, it's 25. So I know that's going to be in the second bin. I could technically discard that record as soon as I count it, and reduce the size of my array, and performance would go up, but I'm just not all that concerned with that particular aspect of the performance right now. This will be good enough. And because I've got a nice function definition, it accepts an array of responses. It will return an array of counts. I'm not terribly concerned about the individual performance of the function, because I can improve that in the future if I find a need to. So now that I've got a function that is going to compute my bins given the responses, and actually I'm going to make this one a little bit better, because I'm going to say target property is a variable. I'm not going to accept it from up here. And we'll do bins responses target property, and that'll do. Okay, so what I've done is I've actually decoupled this function from the imports, and I'm going to pass those values another way. That'll make this function a little more testable if I get into trouble. Because basically now I can take this function out of this module completely, and I could dump it into here, and I could test this individual function without having an import of bins, responses, or target property. I could inject those manually. So continuing on. All right, so the problem here is that the next problem to solve is that I don't actually know in advance what the children are going to be. The parent is going to be an easy one to solve because the parent is just going to be, in fact, let's go ahead and all the parent's going to be is lodash get histogram responses, and we're going to pass bins, which is coming from our import. We're going to pass state dot responses, I think. Oops, I'm on the wrong one for that. Yeah, state dot responses. Actually, that's not what that's going to be. I'm going to have to correct that one. And then target property gets passed in. All right. Let's see. What I actually want here is get filtered responses state. And that's one of the functions, one of the selector functions we built before, which is going to take the state filter in the current state, and it's going to apply it to the responses object in order to filter that based on my current application filter. Now, that's going to give me parent. That one's set. Children, however, children's going to be messy. So children, in this case, what we're looking at is the histogram selected property. So in this case, it's outlook. So we'd be looking at rainy, overcast, and sunny. But if my histogram selected property was temp, then the children would be hot, mild, and cool. We're looking at the properties of that selected. So to get that, what we're going to have to do is so first we're going to have to get what each of those are. So let's do this. Var children is equal to an object, and we're going to do, all right, so I need to know what all possible combinations of, I need to know what all of them are. And I don't have that information yet. And technically I'm going to need it on all of them. And that could get messy. So if I look at my responses list, and I really don't want to pre-compute that. I don't really want to pre-compute those values, or do I? Because if I were to filter the data set down and there were none, I think I'd want to see that. So basically what I'm thinking through right now is, you know, let's say that my filter selected only for these records here. The temperatures in that are only cool and mild. There's no hot. Hot has been completely excluded. And what I'm thinking through is, in terms of this tree, would I want to see hot? Would I want to see hot, or would I want to bypass it? And I think the answer there is because I'm not, when I calculate two attribute variance, it's going to be excluded. I may have to revisit this one later. For now, I think I have to go off of the data set that I have. Let me think about this one, because in a decision tree, you want to look at the variance as it changes from the previous node. You don't want to look at it from the total data set. So yeah, I think what I'm going to have to do here is look at just the ones that are there. All right, so here's what we'll do. And let's see, let's do this real quick because I need to explore something. Let's see. Let's try object.values. Now, because object.values would get that. I really don't have a choice other than to iterate the array and find all of the unique. And because it's nested, there's not really going to be anything native vanilla JavaScript. I'm sure Lodash has something I could use, but trying to avoid pulling in libraries right now. All right, we'll crunch it. We'll crunch it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do filtered responses is equal to get filtered responses. That way we only have to do it once. Then filtered responses dot for each and let's see, filtered responses for each. For each one, we are going to this is going to be a bit ugly. Response. This is messy. So var selected, let's see, what do I call it over here? Selected property. So we're going to say response state dot histogram selected property. Let me copy this guy just to make sure I got it right. All right. So then children selected property value is equal to an array. Inelegant, but it'll do. So basically what this is going to do is it's going to go through each response, and for each response it's going to add basically this right here, the property and an empty array as the value. So now at this point what I can do, and granted I could probably do this in this function, but if I end up improving this aspect, I don't want this next part coupled to this previous step. And the next part is going to be object.values children for each. Andrew, how's it going, man? We're actually working on the histogram for a change. How you doing, man? Let's see. So for each property value, we need to let I state. Just got back from lunch. This time zone difference stuff is really weird. Trying to work out how LDAP logins user transforms are triggered. That one's a LDAP logins. And user transforms. That's done by schedule job, isn't it? Gosh, it's been so long since I've done anything with the LDAP integrations. Filter response. All right, we're going to have to change this guy up a little bit. Want to kill it. All right, I'm going to have to amend our get filtered responses. And the reason is because down here on the histogram, I have to apply different filters. So all right, so that should work for that, but now I have to find where I've done this before. So like here, I have to now make it state.filter. Actually, wait a second. No, I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't. Because, and this is one of the cool things I love doing whenever adding new options. So we'll call this one a filter override, and we'll make it an optional parameter. And var filter is going to equal filter override or state.filter. And that, my friends, is how we introduce a non-breaking change. So now I can eliminate the state call here, and I can just use the filter. And basically what will happen is in all of these instances where all I've passed state, it'll use state.filter because filter override will be undefined. But in these new cases I have down here, I can pass a customized filter and still get the results I need. All right, so for each of my property values. So hot, mild, cool. What I'm going to do is I have to get that value for each of them. Or rather, I have to get the histogram for each of them. So basically what we're going to have here is children property value is equal to lodash get histogram responses. We're still passing the same bins. All the histograms are going to have the same x-axis, and this is what's going to allow us to actually compare the variances more accurately. If the bins changed from histogram to histogram, you wouldn't have an accurate comparison for the visualization. Let's see, so we're going to pass the bins. The filtered responses is what has to change. The target property stays the same for that function. But what we have to do is we have to do get filtered responses. That's going to be ugly. I don't want to do that. Let's do this. Var. I'll just actually use the same one I had before. So filtered responses is equal to get filtered responses. We'll figure out those parameters in a second because I gotta correct this red squiggly before it drives me up a wall. All right. Now, get filtered responses. I have to pass the state. Okay. So that's going to stay the same. We're still passing state. What I need to change is the filter override. So I need a new parameter in here. And here's what we're going to do. Filter is equal to object dot assign. I'm going to assign a blank object to state.filter. So what this is going to do is object assign is going to assign this guy the same values as our state.filter, which is effectively going to create a clone of state.filter. That way we're not modifying the application state in the process. We're creating a clone of it. But what I need to do is then, oh wait. I can do a fancy because we're using ES6 syntax. I can do a property value, a dynamic assignment, and it is, or sorry, no, go back. Missing something here, missing something. Selected property, state.histogram selected property. That's the one I want. So my selected property is actually going to be this guy. And I want to filter where it is the property value. Oof, man, this is a mess. This function's a mess. Okay, so basically what we're going to do, let's say, for example, that we're doing this on temperature, okay? So going back to my little diagram here, let's say that I have already filtered to rainy. So my filter in the application state is going to look like this. Outlook is rainy. Okay. Now, what this function is going to do is first it will, first of all, it's going to calculate the histogram with the current state on it. Um, so that's the first thing it's going to do. It's just going to calculate it naturally. It's not going to do anything fancy with it. Next, it is going to grab the for our histogram selected property, this guy, which is currently Outlook. Well, here, let's make pretend that it's temperature right now. We'll pretend that the selected property is temperature. So what it's going to do is it's going to iterate through and it's going to find hot, mild, and cool. So it's going to iterate through each of these. And children will get populated with hot, mild, and cool. Then it's going to iterate through those values, hot, mild, and cool. So when the property is hot, it's going to modify my filter to say that temp is hot. And then it will recompute the histogram for that child. Then it'll change to mild, and it will recompute the histogram for mild. And then it will change to, what was the other one? Cool. And it will recompute the histogram for cool, and it will ultimately make the children object look like this one down here. So now the last thing that I have to do, in theory, is assign parent to that and children to that. And instead of assigning the variable, we are going to return. And now we have to test this hot mess. And there is no way this is going to work on the first try. That function is way too complicated. There's no way I got it right on the first go. I need to go back to app. And what we're going to do is import from our selectors. I've got get split variances there already, and we're going to do get histograms. And so store.getState. And if you remember correctly, last time we set up the get split variances. So I'm going to run that one too, because basically it shouldn't modify anything. These are selectors. The only thing they do is return a sliced view of our state. They derive computed state from the original application state that we have in here. So it shouldn't modify the state. So I should be able to run these two functions in any order and the results should be the same. Oh, here goes nothing. There it is. Errors. Filter is not defined. And let the debugging begin. All right, so selectors, line 58. Var filter. Try again. Reduce of empty array with no initial value. Oh, well, that is another tick that's going to hurt is, where did I do that reduce? This reduce up here needs a default value, A. So we'll comma, or an initial value rather. So we're going to initialize that one to 0. Let's see. And it says reduce of empty array with no initial value. I don't know who was empty on that one. I guess we'll find out. Let's find out who was empty. That's scary. All right, so let's log these out. Okay. So if I go to my bins, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 bins. Jace, how's it going, man? So I got 9 bins here. I've got 9 bins in my parent. And if I do a manual, and I just realized that I actually had a value that was lower, I'm going to add a bin. Oh wait, no. That one should fall into there. Okay, so let's see. If I calculate this one out, that one should go there. 130 should go less than or equal to 46 should go into this bin. 45 should go into this bin. 52 should go into this bin. 23 should go into this bin. 43 should go into this bin. 35 should go into this bin. 38 should go into this bin. 46 into this bin. 48 into this bin. 52 into this bin. 44 into this bin. And 30 into this bin. What's going on, Mike Barr? He's not even using, Andrew said, he's not even using arrow functions. No, I don't use arrow functions. My brain has not accepted the syntax yet. I have a really hard time reading them. And I am a huge proponent of, if you can't read it, don't write it. So,
Are you on video?
no.
Okay.
1. There's only 2 between 25 and 30. 35. I think I miscounted that one into the wrong bin. And if I shift those down, I don't think those are right.
Nope, they're not.
Don't be mean.
I don't know what I'm looking at.
Here, let's do it this way. 25, 30. So I'm trying to make sure that my bins are actually counting out correctly. 52, let's see, 25, 30, 46, 45, 52, 23, 43, 35, 38. Mike says he's joining for your commentary.
Ow, I'm tired. I don't want to provide commentary.
Too bad. You got roped in. It's your fault you started talking. You can't leave now.
I should be writing a blog article.
Well, I mean, if you're writing a blog article, I can let you go do that.
Oh,
but if you're looking,
it's cool if it's like ServiceNow related, but if I want to like go take a bath and read a book, that's no bueno.
No bueno. You're in. You're in for the long haul now.
I'm not in. You don't
1,
pay me enough.
2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14. I've got 14 there. Okay, now I need the bins. Now, the good news here is that now I can let Excel do the mathy.
The mathy.
Shut your face.
I'm going to tell your son you said that.
I don't do mathy. Jay says blog writing doesn't pay the bills.
No, it doesn't.
A random world generator for economics stuff. I don't know if I like this idea. That sounds like lots of mathy.
Yeah, I couldn't pay attention to economics in college.
Count if. And how am I supposed to check this if I have to check that first? I don't think I thought this one through. I didn't. Range. Criteria. Count if less than or equal to that, or no.
Mike says as long as the math is in Common Core, we're good.
No. Greater than or equal to D1. I might actually have this. I might actually have it. Dang it.
Druv just joined.
Hey, good morning, Druv. Dang it. All right, well that's not going to work. Can't even quit Microsoft Excel properly. All right, let's do this. All right, 25 is going to go into that bin. 30 is going to go into the next bin up. 46. Yes. I decided to check my code in JavaScript by writing code in Excel, and then I realized I'm worse at Excel than I am at JavaScript. And now I have no way of automating my tests. Okay. I don't like this. This is hard. Honey, do the math.
What math do you want me to do?
It's actually counting, but it's still hard.
Oh my gosh, what are we counting?
So I have to count where it's, so each of these is a bin. That's the low end, that's the high end. And I have to count how many of these are in each of those bins, and it's making my brain hurt.
Okay, well, between those two numbers, there's like 125.
Yeah, but it's greater than or equal to there, but less than that. So it actually goes into that bin. And then 30 goes into the next bin up. And then 46 goes into that bin.
This is not hard.
And 45
goes into that
bin.
52
And then 52 goes into this bin.
There you go.
And then 23 goes into that bin. And then 43 goes into that bin. And then 35 goes into next bin up.
No, wait, wouldn't it go into like that bin? Because it's 30 to 35 and 35 to 40, not in the 40 to 45.
You're probably right.
Yeah, I like that. You can say that whenever you want.
And then 38 goes into that bin.
Yeah.
And then 46 goes into that bin.
Yes.
No, wrong way. Ooh, testing is hard. 48 goes into this bin.
Mike is asking, why don't I just do it? Because I'm much better at managing than like
52
coding.
goes into this bin. 44 goes into this bin.
Yes.
30 goes into this bin.
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 4, 2, 0, 0. Hey, it is working.
There you go.
Whew,
Please
that
tell
was
me
hard.
You don't test all your code like that.
All of it. Every last bit of it. Okay.
Andrew says, just make it work. Y'all
Just
don't
make it
realize,
work.
like, I get myself into a jam and I'm like, honey, just make it work.
Shh, the baby's sleeping.
She can't hear me.
Okay. All right, so now.
Jace needs to know what you're doing.
So Jace, we are trying to build.
We're counting, Jace.
We're counting. All right, so basically, Jace, the goal here is to create a tool where, here, let me pull something up here and I will show you. So basically, I am going to have a list of fields in the salary survey, or a list of questions in the salary survey that goes down the side. And I'll be able to click this list of questions. The stream is only good on desktop. On phone, it's terrible. Yeah, who is it that was saying earlier? Kevin was saying that earlier that it was defaulting to 360 or 480. Yep, there he is. Up, he's still hanging out. He was saying that if you up the resolution, it's still pretty good. But man, everybody comes for your commentary. So down the left-hand side, I'm going to have a list of the fields from the salary survey, a list of the field names, the question names basically. And I will be able to select those. And when I select those, it will build a series of histograms in the middle section. And basically you'll have a large parent histogram, and then you will have smaller children histograms. The parent is for the whole data set, and the children is to show the histogram where each question is broken down by its values. So I'm using a sample data set right now because I'm not sharing the original data set. Andrew says we aren't all in the middle of a work day. You're not paying attention anymore, are you?
What?
Yep,
No,
you're not
I
paying attention.
totally
You checked
lost your
out.
face
Oh
off.
my goodness.
And my meds have worn off, so you like get spacey soon.
Anywho, so bottom line is that this is going to allow me to quickly click through and filter through the different. Jace doesn't blame you. It's going to allow me to click through and filter through the salary survey data and produce histograms for that. And basically this is following what machine learning decision trees build out internally, but I'm doing it a little more manually because I actually want to see the process, because we're not trying to build a machine learning algorithm that will predict a salary outcome based on input properties. We're trying to understand what input properties matter for the output prediction. So I'm kind of turning a decision tree inside out for the purposes of a salary survey, and the part we're on now is actually building the histograms themselves. So the parent histogram for these bins, these low and high bins, would output these counts for the parent, and the children are outputting junk right now. So
there's a metaphor in that right there. Just saying.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that one alone. My children are wonderful.
Our children are wonderful. That little one though.
Decision salary survey tree. Yeah, kind of, Kevin. It's gonna be kind of like that. So what I wanted to do with the salary survey is what I didn't want to do rather is I didn't want to just output a bunch of this is how many people answered the salary survey from this country. This is how many answered it with this job title. What I wanted to do was I wanted to be able to say, if you have this certification, you're more likely to fall into this bracket as opposed to this bracket, or maybe certifications don't matter at all and doesn't impact the variance in the output salary distribution at all. I wanted to look at what country you're from. Does that influence? And yeah, what gender, what race? Do any of these attributes, do basic demographics influence, or is it more a product of your work? Is it more a product of how many hours you put in, or what you know, or is it a product of what parts of the platform you deal with on a daily basis? So in order to answer those questions, we had to look at something else. We couldn't look at just basic pie charts. So what I moved to was histograms and salary distributions. Kevin says, I have one certification, working on the second one. 2 if you count the pricing certification released some time ago.
Yeah, I got that cert.
Yeah, me too. Don't ask me about the pricing though. I'm just going to tell you to go ask your sales rep.
Your sales rep. Yep. That's what I got out of that whole training.
that cert just got revoked for me.
You have other certs though.
I do.
I'm lazy. I have the basic one, and then I have service portal. That's it.
Man, if I come out of this survey response and I look at the distributions and it shows that salaries or certifications have little to no influence on salary, somebody at ServiceNow is going to get sent down to take me out.
Yes. So what you do is you say, okay, officially, I have to tell you that the certs are vital to your salary. Unofficially, no.
Man,
Andrew Bard's isn't on here, is
it is required if you want to be a part of the partner program.
Well, technically, we're not partners. We work for a partner.
Jay says certificates have little to no influences. We will find out mathematically.
Mythbusters investigates.
Here's a custom table, there's a custom table, here's another one. Oh shoot, you owe 10,000 more.
Yeah, that's about right. Which really gets in the way of my building cool stuff in Portal.
I know, it really breaks my innovative heart.
Survey. Jace just knows.
You don't need a survey.
He knows what's up. He's got the 411.
Let's see. So, what did I break and why? Why are the children not working?
Because they're lazy and entitled.
Wow. How about because they're not of age to work?
Damn millennials.
Jeez.
I'm sorry, you're just giving this to me. It's hilarious.
All right, anti-child labor laws.
Man, do you? Oh. Child labor was like a principle of my household growing up.
For each, I set the value. That's good. It's got to be my property value. Object value, children. Property value is going to be junk, maybe?
If the real estate economy crashes again, yes.
Children aren't asleep.
Yes, they are. It's glorious. It's magic hour.
It's an array. I'm an idiot. I need object.keys.
Are you tracking this in a GitHub repo? You should be.
I am not tracking it in a GitHub repo right now, but I will put it in a GitHub repo.
I need to put more things in mine. I only have a little thing in mine right now.
I mean, right now, I wouldn't even count this as being worth putting anywhere. But yes, it will be made publicly available so everybody can scrutinize my code, because I'm not going to lie, it is kind of trashy right now. I mean, I've got actions and responses that are separate or that are in joint files, but then I have feature-based files for histogram, or it's a mess. It's all over the place.
Why do you have so many different JavaScript files?
Because I'm using ES6 modules, which lets you break it up a little bit more.
Oh, that's fancy.
Right.
I don't know nothing about this newfangled stuff. I do service portal.
These import statements, import and export statements are like automatically walked. So if you look at my index,
is that kind of like when you call a style sheet in your HTML?
Kind of. So if you look at this is the HTML that's producing this. It's only importing app.js. App.js imports all the others.
Oh, that's cool.
So I don't have to do any kind of fancy build process. I don't have to do any craziness. I can just let the browser handle it.
I like that.
Var trashy is equal to true. Yes, Jace. Yes, trashy is equal to true.
You need to put that in the code.
We'll put it in here because this is where the configuration goes.
See, if you're going to put code out there so everybody can like see your process and blah blah blah, this is where I'm like injecting my nerdy
Jace certified configuration.
Jace certified. This is where I'm putting like my nerdy commentary and making variables like references to Star Wars and stuff like that.
Let's see. I don't even remember where I was now. Oh, wait. My distributions. My distributions.
You knew it was doing the thing. That's what we were counting for.
So what we have here is the counts. Now, so what you can see is that if this was done properly, I think that one actually slides down. Sarah, what are you writing about? Jace wants to know.
I did the first part of a 3-part series. The first one was just on a basic design for like a little panel widget, basically cleaning it up. And the second and third parts, the second one's just going to be putting a basic glide record into a widget to call a list of records or what have you. And then the third one, I'm going to show people how to set up instance options. Real basic stuff, but I get a lot of questions about these, like, just the getting started. And honestly, when I first started, I didn't know how to do any kind of JavaScript. So one of the best things that Travis gave me was just, here's the block of code. This is how you call records in a glide record query. So, you know, little things like that. That's where I'm going to take that. And then I want to dive into the new UX framework and do something in there because that looks cool.
It works.
It works?
It works.
Yay. So now what?
Oh, no, I didn't get that far.
I was answering Jace's question.
Oh, good. Do a find replace for var and change to let. Yeah, you are not wrong there, Andrew.
What does that do?
So,
not the word variance though, that wouldn't work.
Var space should be let space in most of these scenarios.
You got 100 messages today.
Oh, wow. That always happens when you join in. When it's just me, it's like just me. As soon as you join in, everybody else comes.
Oh, I love talking to everybody. That's why they better not freaking cancel knowledge this year. I didn't get to go the past 2 years, and I want to go and meet everybody.
All right, let's see if that didn't break anything. Perfect, still works. So let, to answer your question, oh, Jace already has it, yes. Let is special, and it lets you protect variables from scoping.
Yeah, I thought of like another reference that just ignore me. But okay, so what do you mean it keeps it from the scoping?
So basically, if I were to, there are certain block statements that leak variables. When you do var, it'll leak the variable. When you do let, it locks it down just to that block statement.
Okay.
Is my understanding.
Okay. That makes sense. You should put like, let there be light in there. I don't know why you let me in here when you do this. I am not helpful. And then I see Mike say yup, and I'm feeling his vote of confidence.
Jay says he can't do this in comments. Let's see. So like this is a big one here, like for loops. Okay. In this for loop here, if I were to change this to var, that var I exists at the function declaration level.
Okay.
So I would still be able to access I out here.
So, but when you do let, it's
but when I do let,
there in the little part.
Right. When I do let, it is isolated to just this for block.
Oh, that's neat. I have to keep that in mind. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
So it takes what var started and takes it to the next logical step.
And there was light.
And there was light. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps clarify a little bit.
It shed some light on the Look, you're the reason my sense of humor is like taking a nosedive into Punsville. Okay.
All right.
I will let you do the thing. Y'all have a good night.
Well, honestly, I think I'm going to wrap up for the evening because it's just about 10 o'clock.
I've distracted you into
and you've distracted me into oblivion. But the good news is that with the histogram data being available at this point, because now where'd it go? App.js. Now I'm able to get histograms for the current state. I'm able to calculate the split variances for the current state. The next step is, yeah, let's see. Let me make sure I understood the question right. It might be on portal, on client side, sure. Yeah, it's ES6 you can definitely use client side. One of the things you have to keep in mind is that ES6 is limited to certain browsers. So like there's a lot of stuff in ES6 that is not available on IE anything. But as long as you're using modern browsers, Edge, Chrome, anything else, ES6, quite a bit of ES6, if not all of it, is pretty much available. Server side on ServiceNow, ES6 is not available, which is sad. But in theory, you could technically, if you wanted to, you could write it outside of ServiceNow and use Babel to compile it. I don't know why you'd want to do that, because it would make it mushy and ugly in the instance, but you could technically do it.
That sounds janky.
It is kind of janky, but you can do it. But so next time, I am actually not going to be using D3. I'm going to use chart.js. D3, I don't know if it's still the same way that it was before, but D3, if I remember correctly, requires a lot of manual intervention on the visualization aspect, whereas chart.js, I can just use a bar, jam a couple arrays in it, and away it goes.
What do you mean it needs, like?
So if you look at, let's go take a look. D3 gives you the ability to make any kind of visualization you want.
Oh,
like, look at all this stuff. All of this is like drawn in D3.
Is that stuff I can put
in
the
is.
service portal?
Oh yeah. So if you look here, this is what D3's looks like. And I'm honestly not even sure how to make sense of most of this. You know, there's a lot of attribute updating. This is fancy,
RTFM.
okay? RTFM. And Travis does not like RTFM. So D3 is a very low-level library. It may have some stuff already built on top, but I'd have to go find it. Whereas with chart.js, all I have to do is pass it some arrays. There's like a standard JavaScript object. I pass it some arrays, and it draws everything for me. So yeah, Andrew says he's played with D3 and Service Portal, and it's a pain. Yeah, I mean, D3 has so much power, but you're using a lower level library. You're not using a high level language.
By high level, you mean something that's easier to read?
Yes, okay, more human readable.
That's
what
I figured.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You know, D3, there's a lot of lower level manipulation going on in terms of the HTML SVG structures that you're outputting. You know, whereas with this, let's put it this way. In chart.js, what you are controlling is a data series. You hand it a data series, a list of numbers. You hand it a list of labels. You hand it a list of labels here. And it computes the rest. With D3, you're passing it, you know, much lower level objects. You can see some of the objects in here, like a scale. But if you learn the language, you can do more with visualizations on this. And somebody was saying it was Vivid Charts Yeah, Mike Barr was saying Vivid Charts uses D3 for their stuff. Honestly, when you look under a lot of different charting libraries that are out there, a lot of visualization libraries use D3 under the hood. And they just build an easier to consume API on top of D3. So it is amazing, but in my case, chart.js is going to do exactly what I want with a whole lot less code. So I'm going to use it this time around, because all I have to do is pass it my data set, and it will out the charts for me.
Do you have any control over the look and feel of the charts, or is
You
that
do.
all baked into the?
You do. And I mean, I can turn around and take a peek here, and you can see some of the RGBAs in here for background colors on the different bars, border colors on the different bars.
Yeah.
You know, it exposes a lot of different options for customizing it. You know, but again, if you wanted to turn around and overlay a line chart on top of the bar chart, chart.js might support it, but it might not. If you wanted to, you know, start doing some of these map type charts and stuff like that, chart.js I don't think has those.
Well, you know, I'm thinking about the improvements that are coming to CRM Pro's portal and the charts and graphs that we have in that. Because using the out-of-box widget that calls reports, it's a little slow, and I'm always looking for a way to improve the UI there for our users. So.
If you're looking at embedding something in Service Portal and you're not going outside of basic Excel charts, something like chart.js is probably going to be your best move. The API is much easier to consume. It's a simple JavaScript object, and all you pass it is the construction options, the same way that you do with any other instance option on a widget. D3 is a whole other beast that opens up a lot of power, but with it comes a lot of complexity.
Does it come in a rocket can?
Comes in a rocket can. Power thirst.
Sorry, we just like really dated ourselves. But I'll have to put that in my back pocket.
Yeah. Chart.js is a solid one, and it uses MIT license, so you can use it with whatever you need. I will be embedding that one next time, and when I get to that, I will be needing, because we're going to be moving to the front end, I am going to be using native vanilla web components, which will bear vague similarity to UX framework components, but UX framework does have some more proprietary stuff on top of it. Well, not proprietary to ServiceNow, but it uses JSX and a few other things. I'm not bringing that stuff into this project. I'm just going to use vanilla web components, but the ideas are similar.
That is very true.
Chase, everyone should have kids. They are the greatest joy in the world, but they're also terrorists. You realize this as soon as they're born, and they start using sleep deprivation to break you. Man, I broke years ago.
I'll have to say, that little one, he goes down at 8:30, and he doesn't get up till 8:30. It's nice.
But when he's awake,
it is go, 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 go.
Oh my
go,
God.
Go, go.
I explained my second child as hooking New York City up to a car battery, and I'm the car battery.
He got an extroverted version of himself.
That's Ray Ramon. Aww. Did I miss anything else while I was going through the D3 stuff? Okay, so yeah, so next time we're going to start actually building UI. I have all the basic data calculations, which honestly is kind of weird because I didn't expect to do it in 3 sessions. That went a lot faster than I expected, which is great.
You were in good company.
I was. Everybody loves Travis.
Travis, your life could be a sitcom.
My life could be a sitcom. I'm not sure that it's not.
Well, maybe it is.
All right, so next time we will dive into the components and actually building out the UI piece. I'm thinking that's going to take another 2 sessions of work, maybe 3. Well, depends on if Sarah participates. We just need Travis's mom criticizing. Oh, trust me, my mom is not going to criticize Sarah's cooking. That is not going to happen. I love my mom, but cooking is not her forte. My father, on the other hand.
Oh, he gives me crap every time I try to cook.
Man.
There's no pleasing him, but he's a great cook, so.
My father refers to himself as Master Chef and me as Junior Master Chef. So
That's a whole can we could get in. We could spend the next hour talking about your father.
that man is an entertainer through and through. I have no idea why I'm streaming and he's not.
But he's a Panthers fan, so he's not perfect.
That's all right. They lost this week. All right, guys. Thanks for joining in. Had a blast hanging out with you guys this evening and building this out. Like I said, next time we'll dig into the UI, and I'm hoping to wrap up this tool this week so that I can begin the analysis portion and actually digging through the salary survey data so that I can produce all of the published documents, before next year.
Yay!
While it's still relevant.
Yeah. Hopefully 2020 will leave us alone and you can get it done.
Well, yeah, as long as bees aren't trying to kill me and hurricanes aren't trying to take the roof off and the Black Plague isn't trying to wipe everybody out and fires aren't burning down in Australia and out western United States and
Man, just stop. You're triggering me.
See y'all. Have a good night.
That's a good idea.
Oh, Jay says next time I should talk about how we made/hosted the survey. Sounds good. Yeah, I will definitely have to do one on that one. It's sitting right over here. But yeah, we'll definitely do that. Take care, guys. Thanks a lot, and have a good night. Hope to see you next time.